right, so you know how we all use our iPhone alarms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we probably hit snooze sometimes, but have you ever thought about
Oh, yeah.
why it's 9 minutes?
9 minutes.
Yeah. Why not 10?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It's very specific.
Yeah. So we're going to do a deep dive into this today.
Okay.
Using a bunch of articles we found all about iPhones and these little quirks.
I am intrigued
Yeah, and there's a lot.
in these articles about how much people hate the 9-minute snooze.
Right.
One person even called it a frustrating level of numbers.
Yeah, I can see that.
Which I kind of get.
It's funny, though, that it's not just an iPhone thing. It's like an industrial standard.
Oh, really?
Like all alarm clocks basically have the 9-minute snooze.
Huh.
Yeah.
So it's not just like Apple being weird.
No, this goes way back.
Oh, well.
Like way back to analog clocks.
Wait, so like my grandma's wind-up clock is why I'm sleep deprived.
Well, maybe not your grandma specifically, but like the way those old clocks worked.
They had these like gears that controlled the minute hand.
Right.
And to get it to land on exactly 10 minutes was really hard with those gears.
Okay, so I was reading one of these articles and there was a comment about like these rolling tumblers in analog clocks.
Yeah.
And that makes sense because like if they're trying to get it to be less than 10 minutes,
Yeah.
it would just naturally end up on 9 because of how the tumbler.
Exactly. It was just easier to do 9 minutes with those old mechanics than 10. And so then when digital clocks came around, everyone just kind of kept doing it.
So we're all just like living with this
A relic of the past.
weird thing from the past that we don't even know about.
Yeah. It makes you wonder how many other little things on our phones are like that.
Have these weird stories behind them.
Exactly.
Like that we don't even
We just take for granted.
think about.
Yeah. It's like we don't even notice them anymore.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So one of the articles suggested that maybe instead of complaining about the 9-minute snooze.
We should think about our sleep habits.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like maybe this is a sign that we should try to just wake up naturally
I like that take.
without an alarm.
Like maybe it's a chance to reevaluate our relationship with sleep
Yeah,
and waking up.
that's an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah,
I do like my snooze button, though.
of course.
It's part of my routine.
We all have our routines.
But maybe I should learn more about, like,
Yeah.
how our bodies are supposed to wake up.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting research out there about circadian rhythms and stuff.
Yeah.
Like how our bodies naturally regulate sleep.
I don't really know anything about that.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
Okay, so besides the 9 minutes,
Yeah.
there's another thing about the snooze button on iPhones that bugs me.
Oh, what's that?
You can't change it.
Oh, you mean like
Like, you can't make it 8 minutes or
Uh-huh.
10 minutes.
you're stuck with the 9.
Yeah, you're stuck with the 9.
I hear you on that one. And it makes me think about how much we like to personalize our phones.
It's true.
Mm.
People want to tailor their devices to their own needs and preferences.
It's my phone. Why can't I change the snooze?
Exactly.
So even though we can't change it now, at least with the iPhone clock,
Right.
it makes you wonder why some tech just doesn't let us.
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, where's the line between what the designers decide
Mm-hmm.
and what the users actually want?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the 9-minute snooze, the history of it, and how people want to be able to change it.
Yeah. And how it makes us think about, like,
Yeah.
the bigger picture of how tech evolves.
Right, and whether we're in control or
Exactly.
the designers are.
Yeah. Who gets to decide how things work?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It is a good question.
And it's just from the snooze button.
I know, right?
So coming up next,
Okay.
we'll be looking at some more of these little iPhone quirks that you might not have thought of.
I read it.
But just like the snooze, there's often a bigger story there.
I bet.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
So stay tuned. Right.
Welcome back to our deep dive into iPhone features.
Okay, so.
Before we move on,
Yeah.
I think we should actually talk about the science of sleep.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned
Yeah.
circadian rhythms earlier.
Yes, exactly.
I don't really know what that means.
It's actually really cool. So your circadian rhythm is like your body's natural clock,
Mm-hmm.
and it controls like when you're sleepy and when you wake up,
Okay.
your hormone levels, even your body temperature,
Wow.
all on like a 24-hour cycle.
So it's like my body's programmed to
Yeah.
follow a schedule.
Pretty much, yeah. And a big part of that is
Yeah.
this thing in your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus.
Suprachiasmatic?
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Did you?
But it's basically this tiny region in your brain
Okay.
that's really sensitive to light.
Oh.
So when it starts to get dark outside,
Yeah.
it tells your body to make melatonin.
Which makes you sleepy.
Exactly.
That's probably why I can't keep my eyes open.
Pro.
Like I'm on my phone in bed.
All that blue light, yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the morning when it sees light,
Mm-hmm.
it stops making melatonin.
So you wake up.
Exactly.
So when those articles were talking about working with our natural sleep rhythms, they mean like actually syncing up our sleep schedule with that clock in our brain.
Yeah, like the more consistent your sleep schedule is, the better your circadian rhythm works.
So I could wake up without even needing an alarm.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like your body becomes its own alarm clock.
That's pretty cool.
It is, yeah.
Though sometimes I definitely need an alarm.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like I can't always just
happens.
Rely on my brain.
Exactly.
But it's good to know that our bodies can do that.
It's amazing what our bodies can do.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about the snooze button and all the science behind sleep, but there's one more thing I wanted to bring up.
Okay, what's that?
From those articles. It's about home screens.
Oh, the home screen.
Yeah, people get really passionate about this.
Some people love a perfectly organized grid.
Right?
And others want to put their apps wherever they want, even if it means having gaps.
I am a gaps person.
You like the gaps.
I need those gaps. Like, it stresses me out when I can't.
It can feel very cluttered.
Yeah. Put space between my apps.
Yeah, a lot of iPhone users feel that way.
Really?
Yeah, they wish they had more control over how their home screen looks.
Well, good news. One of the articles said that iOS 18 is supposed to let us do that.
That's right. There are rumors that you'll be able to have gaps on your home screen. More freedom to customize.
Yeah, I can't wait.
It's interesting, though, how something so small
I know
can be such a big deal.
Right. Like, why do I care so much?
But you do.
About the gaps.
And a lot of other people do, too.
Yeah.
I think it shows how much we care about how our phones look and feel.
Like an extension of ourselves. Exactly.
So in a way, it makes sense that we would want to control.
It's your space. You want to make it your own.
But this whole home screen thing also made me think about what one of the articles said about aesthetics versus functionality.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
Like, Apple clearly wants the iPhone to look
sleek and minimal.
Yeah, a certain way.
Yeah.
But sometimes that means less freedom for the user.
Right. Sometimes those design choices can limit what people can actually do with their phone.
Exactly.
It's a constant balancing act between design and usability.
So we've talked about the snooze button and sleep science and now home screens.
We have covered a lot of ground.
It's crazy how these tiny little details lead to these bigger conversations.
It's like each little quirk is a window into the whole world of tech and how it affects us.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so coming up next,
we'll
be wrapping up our deep dive with a few more iPhone features.
Sounds good. That you might not have given much thought to.
I'm ready for more.
But just like we've seen today,
there's
often a lot more to the story than meets the eye.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, so welcome back to our last deep dive into iPhones. We've learned a lot of crazy stuff, but before we finish up, I have to tell you about this one thing.
Okay, I'm listening.
It just blew my mind when I was reading about it.
All right, lay it on me.
Okay, so you know how sometimes you wake up like right before your alarm goes off?
Oh, yeah.
Like your body just knows.
It's happened to me so many times.
It's like magic.
It really is.
But there's a scientific reason for it.
Really?
Yeah, it all comes back to our circadian rhythms.
Okay.
And that tiny part of our brain we talked about before.
Suprachiasmatic nucleus.
Yeah, that one.
Right. But how does that make us wake up before the alarm?
So basically, that part of our brain is really good at picking up on routines.
Okay.
So if you wake up at like 7 a.m. every day, your body starts to expect that.
So even if I set an alarm, my brain is already getting ready to wake up at that time.
Exactly.
Huh. That's wild.
Yeah, and there's even a protein called PER.
PER?
Yeah, PER. And it helps signal to your body when it's time to wake up.
So it's like we all have this internal alarm clock that we don't even realize is there.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
Makes you wonder if we even need those external alarms.
Right. Like maybe we should just listen to our bodies.
Yeah, maybe we could all wake up feeling more rested.
That'd be nice.
I know, right?
Though I don't know how realistic that is for most people.
Yeah, probably not.
But it's still a cool thought.
It is.
Our bodies are incredible.
Okay, so speaking of cool things.
Yeah.
I got to tell you about this other thing I read about the iOS 18 update.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
So there are a lot of rumors about what's going to be in it. But the one I'm most excited about is animated emojis.
Animated emojis?
I know.
That's pretty cool.
Right, like imagine sending someone a dancing emoji. Oh, wow.
Or a thumbs up that actually moves.
I can see it now.
It would be so much more expressive.
It would definitely add a whole new dimension to texting.
Right.
That's a really interesting idea.
And it just makes you wonder.
Yeah.
What else they'll come up with next.
Like holographic emojis?
Yeah.
That would be something.
That's for another deep dive.
It is.
But I think we've pretty much covered all the iPhone quirks.
I think so. We've gone from the 9-minute snooze to animated emojis.
And everything in between.
It's amazing how much there is to learn about these devices.
It really is.
It just shows that even the most everyday things can have these fascinating stories behind them.
Exactly. And that's what we're all about here.
Curiosity, right?
Yeah, always be curious.
Never stop exploring.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
It was a pleasure.